Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren, Miss Passiert back with another video, and today we are introducing OT, Original Trilogy Chewbacca, to the game. Now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence, I know you know how to read, so let's just touch on the highlights of these abilities here. His basic inflicts tenacity down, and this is going to be incredibly important when facing some of those meta teams. His first special dispels all enemy buffs as well as being an AoE, and with the Omega upgrade, it ignores defense, which means that you're going to be getting some pretty nice damage out of that ability. His second special attack, it will stun the primary target, and with the Omega upgrade, if the target has no protection, it will reset the cooldown of that first special ability. His first unique places guard on Han Solo and the weakest enemy, and with the Zeta upgrade will restore 3% health and protection to guarded allies when Chewie attacks. What does guard do, you might ask? Well, guard is a handy little unique buff that cannot be removed, and it adds immunity to stun, daze, and critical strikes, as well as adding plus 25% critical chance to its target. Now, what this is going to do for you is going to make your Han Solo and one other ally, the lowest health ally, basically God mode for those two characters. So it's going to be an incredibly useful, unique, and is going to be a big key to what makes Chewbacca so good. His second unique with the Zeta upgrade makes Chewbacca immune to ability block and cooldown increase, extremely useful against Nihilus, as well as giving him a passive expose, and I'll explain this in action a little bit later, as well as whenever he takes damage will grant him 25% offense and crit chance. In addition to all of that, whenever Chewie or a guarded ally takes damage, it reduces the cooldown of his second special ability. Now, his second special ability resets the cooldown of his first special ability whenever he attacks a target that doesn't have protection. So, in theory, you're going to be spamming those special abilities quite a bit. Now, I know that everybody is dying to know how well this team, or a team with Chewbacca, will perform against the Traya meta. Now, I just did a couple of matches, but they had some incredible success. I have a soft spot for Enfys, so I tested this team with Enfys instead of R2, and I like her for a number of reasons. Yes, R2 can kind of help keep a lot of that attention focused on old Ben through the stealth mechanic, the smokescreen. However, Enfys Nest actually has the buff cleansing, so she has an additional ability to cleanse the taunt on an enemy, especially Shore Trooper, sorry, not Shore, well, I guess Shore Trooper too, but Sith Trooper specifically, when you are facing a Traya team or even an Emperor Palpatine team that has Sith Trooper on it. So I like Enfys for that reason, plus she has the stun that has, I think, a little bit better percent chance, in my opinion, of actually sticking, since it is a base chance of stunning, not an 80% chance of stunning. That, and she has that expose. You're already going to have a passive expose, air quotes there, on Chewbacca through his unique ability where he's doing an automatic additional 20% of a target's max health in damage, which basically is the same thing that Rex does with his special abilities. So, but basically Chewie is doing that on all of his abilities. It includes his AoE, so you're going to get that expose effect on all of your enemy targets, as well as with that special ability. Now, that special ability having that expose type mechanic is going to be extremely useful, and I know that you've seen it on all the other videos against Darth Nihilus, because Darth Nihilus on a Traya team has an immense health pool. So being able to do that extra 20% damage on the top of every single attack that he does, I mean, you can just see the brutality there. It's just, I mean, it usually takes so much time to kill a Darth Nihilus, and right there, 37,000 and change against a Nihilus just with that passive expose mechanic. Chewbacca literally shreds through a Traya team. It's absolutely bonkers. Like I said, it doesn't really matter who you throw in as long as you have Commander Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and some other characters. Now, the one thing I would advise is running your Han Solo and Commander Luke Skywalker with, well, obviously you're going to want speed on them, because every time that they attack, you're going to get that additional attack from Chewbacca, the assist. As well as with Commander Luke Skywalker, you want to make sure that his health does not exceed any other character on your team, because you want him to get the guarded mechanic. Guarded, like I explained earlier in the when we were going over the abilities, makes him immune to daze and stun as well as critical strikes. The crit strike immunity is going to be the reason that you don't want to run a General Kenobi tank on a team with Chewbacca, because with the guarded mechanic preventing two of your characters from being critically hit, General Kenobi may or may not taunt all that often. So you're going to want to run a tank like Old Ben. Old Ben is actually probably one of the best tanks to run with regular Chewbacca because of the abilities that he has. Speed him up, because the faster your Old Ben is, the better, because he's going to be able to get off that ability block and turn meter removal. It is a very, very, very helpful ability when you're facing pretty much any team with Chewbacca. So if you haven't already invested in your Old Ben, I highly recommend it. He's a fantastic tank on a Chewbacca team, and if you're going to put a Zeta on Old Ben, I definitely recommend doing the taunt over his unique, because the taunt is really what gives him the best, I guess you could say the best functionality, because having that taunt up as often as possible is what's going to be making him so effective. Now, talking about Chewbacca on defense, obviously if you're going up cookie cutter versus cookie cutter, or a mirror match or something like that, you're going to be heavily dependent upon who has better mods, which character is going to land those stuns, and all of that. So to beat a Chewbacca team, I decided to take in the Cookie Cutter Traya squad. Now, this is the same squad that I use when I'm running offense on arenas on my personal account. So the Traya lead with the Triumvirate, Sith Trooper, and Thrawn. I ran this squad against a Chewbacca, basically the Cookie Cutter CLS lead with R2 and Old Ben. And it looked a little crazy at first, because I was like, oh my gosh, why am I absolutely getting demolished right here? But with a little bit of RNG and some good recovery, Sith Trooper kept that taunt up, and once Traya showed up, I was able to get out some abilities. Now, one thing that I should have done here instead of that is just used her Saber Strike and seen how much damage I could get off on Old Ben, because putting the Isolate on Old Ben was not the best move. This was literally the first offensive attack I ran against this team, so if you've seen me on my live streams, sometimes I make some goofy decisions when I'm going through an arena, but really, I got pretty lucky with the way this all panned out. I was able to wipe out Chewbacca there real quick with my Scion. The Isolate honestly works a whole lot better against Chewbacca, because you'll be preventing him from assisting whenever any of his guarded allies attacks. Now, I kind of got lucky with RNG here, because the enemy team decided not to kill my Thrawn until there, so he could have potentially gotten another move off, maybe. I don't know, but at the end of the day, what really matters is that if the enemy team isn't able to wipe out your Nihilus or your Scion right off the bat, you're going to make it all the way to the end, and you'll probably 9 times out of 10 win the match. Now, like I said, this isn't going to be a 100% guaranteed win every single time, because RNG can still screw you royally and cause you to lose the match. But all in all, I love the fact that they introduced Chewbacca. He's not so overpowered that it's like, oh my god, nothing can beat him. It still keeps those Traya teams viable, so if you have Traya, I wouldn't get too worried about Chewbacca showing up in your arena just yet, because you'll still be able to beat it on offense. Granted, a lot of that's going to still come down to RNG. It's going to be a lot of dependency on mods and everything else. But as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, favorite, subscribe, leave me a comment down below. and follow me on social media. And if you want to join me every Thursday night for my live stream, it happens at 9:30 Eastern. Hope to see you there.